If you've been following the roller coaster world of late-night television lately, you know it's been anything but quiet. The lines between politics and entertainment haven't just blurred, they completely evaporated. And right at the center of the latest storm, none other than the sharp-witted, always cool Seth Meyers. On the Monday, November 17 episode of Late Night with Seth Meyers, things got very real, and honestly, very funny. Seth took a moment during his monologue to address the elephant in the room, a fresh barrage of attacks from President-elect Donald Trump. But here's the thing, Seth didn't get angry, he didn't panic. Instead, he leaned into the absurdity of the situation with the kind of relatable, self-deprecating humor that makes us tune in every night. Let's dive deep into what happened, why it's hilarious, and the slightly scary undercurrent that has everyone talking. The list induction. So, what actually went down? It all started over the weekend. On Saturday, November 15, Donald Trump took to Truth Social, his preferred megaphone, to air some grievances. But he wasn't complaining about policy or the economy. He was complaining about Seth Meyers. In a post that can only be described as scathing, Trump claimed that Meyers is suffering from an incurable case of Trump derangement syndrome, TDS. He painted a picture of Seth being in an uncontrollable rage during his show. Trump didn't stop there. He went for the jugular regarding the show's success, calling Late Night a ratings disaster and declaring that Meyers has no talent and NBC should fire him. Now, for most people, waking up to find out the president wants you fired would be a cause for panic. But Seth, he saw it as an initiation ceremony. During his Monday monologue, he joked that he had officially accepted his place on Trump's list. The plot twist, the case of the rerun. Here is where the story goes from standard political drama to sitcom-level comedy. Seth, being the detailed writer he is, decided to analyze Trump's critique. He got playfully petty, pointing out the grammatical choices in Trump's post, specifically the use of the passive voice. But then, he dropped the bombshell that had the studio audience howling. Trump's post on Saturday referred to seeing Seth in a rage last night, meaning Friday, November 14. The problem? Friday's show was a rerun. And it wasn't just any rerun. It was a repeat of the exact same episode Trump had complained about earlier in the month. You literally cannot make this stuff up. Earlier in November, Trump had lashed out at Seth for a segment involving electric catapults on aircraft carriers. If you follow Trump, you know he has a bizarre, long-standing fixation on steam versus electric catapults on Navy ships. Seth broke it down for the audience with a grin. So catapults set him off last time. What was it this time? Well, he posted on Saturday and referred to last night, which means it was probably something I said on Friday, but our Friday show was a repeat. Which repeat? The catapult show. So it was the catapults again. It's such a human moment, isn't it? Imagine getting mad at a TV show, writing a furious post about it, and not realizing you're watching a recording of something you already got mad at 2 weeks ago. Seth, ever the gentleman, offered a little advice to the president-elect. And with respect, Mr. President, you can't get mad a second time for the same thing when it's in a repeat. Finding comfort in the crowd. What made this segment so endearing was Seth's refusal to make himself the martyr. He didn't act like he was the solitary target of a regime. Instead, he looked at the broader context of Trump's weekend social media activity and realized he was just one name on a very long list. I'm also aware that being attacked this weekend by the president doesn't make me special in any way, shape or form, Meyers joked. He then rattled off the good company he was keeping on this list. It wasn't just comedians. The list included Christopher Wray, FBI Director, James Comey, Indiana Republicans, Thomas Massie, Rand Paul, Marjorie Taylor Greene, yes, even her, former President Joe Biden. Seth's take? If everyone is on the list, then being on the list isn't exactly an exclusive honor. It's just another Saturday on Truth Social. He even extended an olive branch, admitting, I want to clarify that I take no issue with the president voicing his displeasure with my show. That is his right, and on a lot of nights, he's got a point. The shadow over the laughs, the FCC threat. While we're all laughing at the catapult blunder, there is a slightly more serious layer to this story that we shouldn't ignore. It's the part that has industry insiders and free speech advocates raising an eyebrow. Trump's post demanding Seth's firing wasn't just shared by random fans. It was reposted by Brendan Carr, a sitting Republican FCC commissioner and the agency's general counsel. Carr shared a screenshot of Trump's statement on X, formerly Twitter. He didn't add a caption, but the silence spoke volumes. Why? Because Carr has been very vocal recently about his desire to crack down on broadcasters. Just recently, Carr went on Benny Johnson's podcast and made some ominous threats regarding TV networks, specifically referencing the recent suspension of Jimmy Kimmel Live. "We can do this the easy way or the hard way," Carr said. "These companies can find ways to change conduct and take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead." When a government official charged with regulating television starts sharing posts calling for a host to be fired because of their political jokes, the fun vibe starts to chill a little bit. It raises the stakes. It reminds us that while Seth is laughing it off, the pressure on these networks is real. The Trump effect on our brains, perhaps the most relatable part of Seth's response, and the part that probably hit home for millions of viewers, was his observation about how interacting with Trump's rhetoric affects your own sanity. Referencing the catapult rant, Seth admitted that trying to parse through the president's fixations makes him feel like the crazy one. "That's what you do to us," Meyers said, addressing Trump directly. "You make us talk about what you're talking about, and then we all sound crazy." Isn't that the truth? How many times have you found yourself at a dinner party or a family gathering, trying to explain a news story that sounds absolutely insane out loud, just because it started with a 3:00 a.m. social media post? Seth Meyers is feeling that exhaustion just as much as the rest of us. He's just doing it in a suit, behind a desk, with a camera rolling. Why we love Seth. In an era where everyone is screaming, Seth Meyers manages to keep it cool. He validates the absurdity. He checks the facts and the TV schedules. And most importantly, he reminds us that if we can't laugh at the fact that the president got mad at a rerun, then we're really in trouble. It's a weird time for television, and an even weirder time for politics. But as long as Seth is there to point out the passive voice and the angry tweets, and remind us that we're all on this list together, we'll be tuning in. What do you think? Is this just harmless back and forth, or are you worried about the FCC getting involved in late-night comedy?